Hello everyone, we hope you're all doing very well. Today we're looking at the targeting pod, the lightning pod on the F-16C and using it in collaboration with laser guided bombs. So first thing is we start in the mission editor here at very early release, October 2019. The only way we can change the hard laser codes on the bombs themselves is in the mission editor. So if we click on our to group here, we click on this here, additional properties, we can change the second, third and fourth digit of the laser code here. So let's jump in the plane and look at arming up and warming up the targeting pod. So first to the armament page. At the moment we can only have the T-pod on 5 right there. We can have the laser guided bombs on 3, 4, 6 and 7. So if we go here, bombs. On these pylons we can only have singles. A GBU-10, that's a 2,000 pound laser guided bomb, or a GBU-12, that's a 500 pound laser guided bomb. We're going to go for the big boys because we can. On the outer pylons 3 and 7 we can have the same, but we can also have a TER-9A adapter which allows us to carry 2 of the smaller ones, but we're just going to take 4 GBU-10s because they look the prettiest and make the biggest bang. In terms of what you'd actually use these for, GBU-10s for blowing up heavy infrastructure, GBU-12s usually for actual targets like tanks, APCs, stuff like that. Let's go with that.
Request rearming.
So this is the lightning pod here. It has a gimbal sensor out the front that allows it to view in different directions. In fact, it's an array of sensors at the front. We have a TV sensor in there known as CCD. We have a IR sensor in there known as FLIR, forward-looking infrared. We have a laser spot search ability. We have a laser spot track ability. We have a laser designation ability. We have a laser ranging ability. All of these abilities are in at the moment at early release, and we're going to be using them all today. So next we need to start the T-pod up. So we're going to go to our avionics panel and ensure that the following are turned on: MMC, STA, MFD, UFC. Make sure our AGI knob is in nav. Next is the sensor panel. We need to turn it on the sensor panel. It's this here, the right fuselage pylon power switch. Before we do that, let's just show you what we get. We get the, if we go to targeting pod here, you can see it is off. If we turn the power on here, it will now warm up. In the flight manual it says it takes 3 minutes to warm up until it's ready. We've actually found it's shorter time than that, but that may change in the future, so it will become evident when it is warmed up and ready to go. While we're waiting this to fully warm up, we are going to do some weapon setup. Now this weapon setup usually we do in the air, but just to make this video easier, we're going to do it here. So for me to be able to use the laser for laser ranging, laser designation, I need to have the laser arm on. But master arm for dropping weapons, I need to have that on again. Right, we're ready. I'll take it back. It was about 3 minutes, wasn't it? So we're not going to go through this functionality yet. We're going to do that in the air. It's just going to be a lot easier to explain for that. And I should also explain we're only looking at the air to ground function of the T-pod today. So next we're going to set our weapons up. We're going to go to air to ground. We've got our 4 GBU-10s, as you can see here. We're going to be dropping them on CCRP. Again, you'd usually do this in the air. We're going to use profile 1. We're going to use 1 bomb at a time. Our ripple settings will be left to standard because we're not going to be rippling. We're going to use nose tail fusing. Well, the bombs are ready. The system is ready. So that's everything ready to go. For the time being, just to get to the target, we're going to go back to nav. We're going to leave our T-pod in standby mode, which it is at the moment, and report back once we found an area of targets. Okay, we're in the air now. We know there's some targets in front of us here, but we're not sure exactly where. We're going to have to use the TGP to search for them. Before we go any further, I'm going to pause it and we're going to look at the controls we're going to use today. First, to actually use the TGP for its functions, we need to ensure that MFD, in this case the left MFD, is SOI, our selected sensor of interest. To do that, we're going to use DMS switch down. To use different methods of track for the TGP, and we'll talk about that in a bit, we're going to use TMS, the target management system, forwards to gain a point track, aft to slew to bore sight, and it's not actually bore sight, it's going to be 150 milliradians south of bore sight. Right for an area track, left to change the polarity, again we'll go over that soon. Next we may want to change the field of view, we can have narrow or wide, and it's that button there. Next we're going to want to fire our laser. To do that, we're going to press and hold this here. It's the trigger first detent. To drop the weapon, we are going to push and hold this button here, weapon release depress. To use the laser spot search and track ability, we're going to press uncage switch. To slew the gimbal of the TPOD, we are going to use radar cursor up, down, left, right. Very big point to make here. You can also get radar cursor in axis rather than binary commands. It's going to be there. And I did try this initially with axis commands here. There's a very good chance that this will not work and will be bugged. It's just not working with some HOTASs at the moment. My F-16C, it doesn't work and it ruins the TPOD and any type of CCR bombing completely. So if you're having problems with a TPOD, it's almost certainly because you've got the RDR cursor set as axis rather than binary commands. We've spent hours shouting Wagner in the air because we couldn't get anything to work. This turned out to be the problem. Once we've changed it to binary commands, everything works perfectly. And finally, in axis, one thing you can have in axis if you want is the manual ranging knob here. This essentially zooms in, zooms out, or you can have it as binary commands. I just prefer it with an axis. And that's everything that we're going to be using in terms of controls. We're ready to turn our TPOD to air to ground and to get working. So we're currently on nav mode at the moment, bear that in mind. From the base screen, we're going to click standby here. We can then choose which mode we want to use this in, air to ground or air to air. I'm going to say air to ground today, and you can see an image. And currently, as standard, in nav mode, the sensor, the gimbal sensor, is going to be locked to 150 milliradians south of our ball sight cross here. If I went to air to ground and we have CCRP selected, which we do, that will change the target designator, and therefore the gimbal of the lightning pod is now pointing at our nearest waypoint or sear point. It just so happens that our nearest waypoint or sear point is about 100 miles away, so it's no use. And sometimes when you go to air to ground and whatnot, it'll also change to radar, so we'll just need to go back. So it's now locked to a target designator, which is over our steer point, which is 50 miles away. That's no use at all. What we now need to do is re-slew that to just below ball sight with TMS aft. Didn't work, and the reason it didn't work is because I forgot to set this as soy. I need to set this as soy with DMS aft. You can see now it's got a box around it. That means it is now soy, and we can now use it. TMS aft again to recenter the target designator and the gimbal of the lightning pod, and you can see it is now here 150 milliradians south of our cross here. So it is now locked essentially to wherever we move. That's good. This is how we want to start it. Another method would be that you have a waypoint near the target and it would automatically slew to that waypoint, and then you can drive it to the target. However, that's not recommended because it's not really realistic. You wouldn't really know if you're out searching like this for targets. You wouldn't really know where they are. So the next thing I'd like to show is how to get ourselves in a sensible configuration to use this TPOD, and that's very important, especially with the ergonomics of the body of this aircraft. The best thing we found to do is A, get high altitude, about 20,000 feet if you can, 15 to 20,000 AGL, and get in a right hand orbit of the target, less than 10 miles distance at all times. The reason for that is that we have limits to the TPOD and the laser of around 10 miles we found. The reason we're doing this is so that we don't mask the line of sight with our own body, like our wing or our fuselage or our bombs or our stabilizers. If that happens, then basically nothing will work and you'll cause yourselves all sorts of problems. Because we do not have a starting steer point near the target, we're going to have to designate the target designator from ball sight, and that's fine. What that means is simply maneuvering the aircraft, so at the rough area of where you've seen the targets, we put this TDC box in that area, and then we hit either of the RDR slew keys, left, right, up or down, to lock it into position on the terrain. So I'm going to show you doing that now quickly. So we're just going to have a quick targeting pass to run in. This all depends if we're doing it like this on finding the targets with our eyes. Have you seen them, RC?
Yeah, they're on
I think I found the static. You probably won't see them with your eyes on the compressed video. There. I'm going to move the targeting box, and I've locked them in position on where I think the targets are. Now I'm going to get back into my orbit at high altitude on a right hand turn. I can look there, and if I look carefully enough, yeah, I can see a convoy of targets. I'll report back when I've locked myself into a right hand orbit. So we're kind of loitering like an A10C at the moment. We don't need a lot of power on, we don't need a lot of speed on, because we're going to be in this orbiting kind of CAS position for quite some time. So I'm going to try my orbit like that. It takes a bit of practice to get this orbit right, but I'm going to put myself in that position, and I'm going to altitude hold there. And that should lock me in this right orbit, and I should get constant coverage here without any masking, which means we can go and have a look at everything. So we can use our RDR slew keys to move this into position. This tells us that we currently have air to ground mode selected, as you might imagine. This tells us that we are in wide field of view. If we wanted to go narrow field of view, it would frame like it shows there, and I would press the expand button, the field of view button, as we saw earlier, to go to narrow field of view like that. This is the current zoom level, and I'm going to change the zoom level with the button that we saw earlier. So I've got it on my axis at the moment, so I can zoom in freely like that, all the way down to 9 zoom and out to 0 zoom. Override here takes us back to standby. Be careful not to click that by accident. Control, we believe, goes into a sub-menu where we get to set extra options for the TPOD. Currently, this is not programmed, so we don't have this at the moment. Now I'm zoomed in, I can move my target cursor. This is the cursor. This is basically where the combined TPOD sensors are pointing, the laser, the CCD, everything, the IR sensors. So I'm going to move him onto position. A little bit jerky, but it's fine. Okay. This is our radar altitude, which allows us to keep situational awareness. This is our chosen sensor here. We're currently at TV. We can either use the button that we saw earlier, TMS left changes the polarity, or we can just press the button. We're going to press the button here. We've got CCD or TV here. We've got IR here, so FLIR with white hot, so the white things show the heat, and we can invert that with black hot, so the black things show the heat. These are different ways of finding the target. We're just going to stick on TV because it's nice and light. So obviously you use your IR at night time or when you can't use the TV. Next is our laser spot search code. If we want to spot someone else's laser, we will use this code here. And that reminds me, we should probably look into the DED page now for the laser. So list 0, 5. Laser options. Here is our TGP code. If we are going to use our laser designator on our TGP, which we are, this is the code that we'll be using. So we want this to match our bombs, and our bombs are on 1688 already, so we don't need to change it. Next, we're going to go to this guy here, dobber down. This is the laser spot track code, basically the same thing as the laser spot search code here, and we can change that. So if someone else was lasing with, say, 1588 and we wanted to search for that laze, that's where we would change it. If we want to change it, you just type in on the ICP 1588, enter, and that's done, and you can see that it's now 1588. In this example, we're going to use 1688 because that's all we're set up to use at the moment on this early version. But that will become a thing. I'm going to dobber return just to get out of there because I don't want to change it, but that's how we change it. We've got a declutter button here. Notes, these allow us to change through different pages, and this swaps it to the other MFD. Note the type of track we've got here, or should I say, first of all, we've got our laser here. Because we've got our laser armed, the L is there. It's armed and ready to go. If we want to fire the laser, we use the first detent that we looked at earlier. I press it, and you can see the laser marker is now firing, or the laser, designator is now firing, and it's flashing. Release the button, and it stops. It's a push and hold affair. This tells us the kind of track we are. We get area, point, and INR. Area is where it's tracking a point on the terrain. In this case, basically a bit of terrain below the vehicle. It is not actually tracking the vehicle, and I'm going to move it like so. If we want it, I should say, to get area track, then we press TMS right. If we want point track is a contrast track that actually tracks an object. We would press TMS forwards. I'm going to press that now. We now have a point track. It is now tracking the actual vehicle. If that vehicle moves, it will follow tracking a moving vehicle. So that's how we would do that. If, I'm not going to show it now because it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but if we masked our sensor and it lost line of sight, say our wing got in the way, it would change to INR. That is inertial rate. That is a temporary track that tracks just that rough area of space until it regains line of sight, and then area track or point track will take over. It's a fail-safe to keep the TPOD pointing in the right direction until it has line of sight again. Okay, so that's it. We need to go and drop a bomb on this guy. I will laze myself. So we need to designate the target, which we've done just by using a point or a area track, that means we have a target now designated. It's all ready to go. What I'm going to do now is go back to area track. There's no real reason. I just want to show that I can do it in area track. There it is, INR. It's gone to INR because something is in the way. You can see the sensor looking down and right. One of those bombs is in the way. So I wasn't high enough, or I was slightly at the wrong angle. You can see I've drifted off course on my orbit. That's what happened. This is good to show you this, because if your screen goes black, it's because you've gone to inertial rate here. So let's show how we can get out of this. I'm going to take my altitude off. I'm sorry, I missed a very important thing. Our situational awareness cue, that there. This shows the direction that our TPOD is pointing, a kind of three-dimensional direction in relation to our aircraft. We can see that our TPOD is pointing kind of 4 o'clock position down there and laterally out quite far. So it's pointing kind of that way out there. If it was in the middle, it would be pointing directly down, that cue. If it was out here, it would be pointing forwards. Left is left, back is back. And that's a good tool to help your situational awareness of your position and to help unmask if it masks like it did there. Okay, sorry, I'll continue now. I'm going to press TMS right to get an area track. Some reason TMS right isn't working, and in our experimentation it seems that you actually have to press TMS forward to cycle between area and track. And you can see I've pressed TMS forward to go back to area. That does not agree with the flight manual. We do not know which is correct at the moment, so just bear that in mind. Right, we're designated and ready to go in for a run. So it's currently over there. We've got some instrumentation in our HUD to tell us where to go. Here is the target designator. It's crossed out because it's off the HUD. It's actually over there, as you know. Here is a line telling us which way to fly to get to the target designator. We don't want to do that yet. We're not far out enough. I'm going to head away just a couple of miles. We can see our range here is 6.2 miles. And our time until weapon drop on current parameters is there. I'm just going to go a little further before I drop. Okay, let's turn in. In terms of altitude, generally the more the better with these types of weapons. There's no reason with these types of precision weapons to need to be low over the target. In terms of speed, I suppose Wags would disagree, but I just don't think it's that important when we're doing these types of weapons. I suppose it was probably say 450 knots. Okay, I'm going to pause now to explain the symbology. So what we've got is now the target designator box is there, and as we know, it's directly, it's down there somewhere. 4.2 miles away on the slant range. Time. I haven't gone far enough out, and I know I haven't gone far enough out because I'm only 2 seconds till drop. My mistake. I need to head further out. I'm going to unpause, and we'll report back when I've got further out. I just need to be patient. Burner on. Ensure that we are in Cat 3. Forgot about that. Very important if you're carrying bombs, otherwise they will fall off. While we're heading away, let's look at our instrumentation. Arm shows our master arm is on. Solid L show our laser is armed but not firing. CCRP is the type of bomb drop technique that we've got selected. Path marker, flight path marker is where we are headed. We've talked about this cross here. We've talked about the target designator here. This is our steering line. We want to fly so that our path marker is perfectly in line with the steering line at all times. Here is our solution cue. When we are in line with the steering line here, the solution cue will drop. When it reaches the path marker here, the bomb will drop. And we'll start pressing and holding the weapon release button at about 10 seconds to drop here. So how far are we out? So we're going to start turning in now. I think we've gone far enough out now. We will not fire the laser until the bomb has dropped, until about 12 seconds until the bomb impacts. However, to be safe, I will start firing the laser pretty much as soon as we've dropped the bomb, because I don't like taking too many risks. I'm just going to show the target designator. It's got a cross through it because it's off the HUD, and now it's on the HUD. We're going to fly with it off the HUD. We can drop this bomb diving, level or ascending. It doesn't matter. Right, I'm going to align my path marker with the steering line and keep it there as best I can. Look at the countdown in the right. When we get down to 10 seconds, I'm going to push and hold the weapon's release until the bomb has dropped. I'll know when the bomb has dropped because the path marker will or should flash. I'm going to fly level here just because I can. Press and hold weapon release. The solution cue is now dropping. When it reaches the FBM, we have a bomb drop, hopefully. Bomb drop. We now just need to laze. I'm going to start lasing now. Push and hold the laze button. See the laser flashing on the L flashing on the HUD and on the TGP. Very important now not to mask your laser. You must turn left or right 35 to 45 degrees to ensure that we do not mask the laser with the rear of our aircraft. Very important thing to do. How's the bomb looking, RC?
No track.
Oh, really? Kidding me.
It's going to hit near it, but it didn't track.
Soon as the camera goes, yay! Okay, it's just desync from RC's point of view. It was a perfect hit, as we can see on the TGP. It's just desync, RC, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a perfect hit, as you can see there. And look, we literally just masked as soon as the bomb hit. So a few seconds more before that bomb hit, I would have masked and it would have failed to hit. That shows how important it is to do the correct turn. And I got it slightly wrong there at the end. So that's something that's going to bug you all. So the screen goes black, it's masked. Right, the next thing I'm going to show is tracking a moving target with point, and then we'll show the laser spot search, and then we're done RC. So, we've already got our target designated down there. It will still be remaining in the same place. So what I need to do now is get in a right-hand orbit so that I get our line of sight back, and so that I can look for the moving vehicles. Any idea where the moving vehicles are, RC? Towards the sea.
Roads, towards the sea.
Roger. Right. Make sure we are soy. We've got the box around the screen, although it's a little hard to see. We are going to zoom out. Got to look for these guys now. Ah, get out of the way, bomb. Massive great bomb in the bloody way. Right, let's slew and search. Slew and search. Slew and search. Is it along the same road that our guys are at?
Yeah, if you follow that road towards the airfield, you'll see a road on your left. You'll pass that, and you'll be on your left.
Right, thank you, RC. Right, I should really have my autopilot on, but screw it. Right, we are going to zoom in. We're going to highlight over a target, and we're going to press TMS forward to point track. We have a point track. It's not following him, RC. This is the first time it's happened to me. Any ideas?
No, I've got him on point track.
Roger, I think I may be blocking my sensor again, so stand by. Again, it's been working perfectly today, but as soon as the bloody camera goes on, it's a bit of a mare. I think I'm just too far out, or just too far one way or another. Zoom out a little. I need to retrim as well. Trim's all over the place. Okay, let's see if we can get a better view now. Where did my little monkeys go? There they are. Let's try point track. I'm still in INR at the moment, which still means that I'm not in area. Let's try get an area. Okay, area is good. Let's try point. Missed. Try point again. Damn.
Leave it in point and try and slew over them.
Roger. It's detecting them, but it's not following them, annoyingly, because the box comes on them. I'm going to try going to IR. I get the feeling I've bugged something here. Because when the tank runs past the cursor, the little box... Ah, I got him, finally. Right. Sorry about that. It can be a little iffy doing that. You can see, you saw I was struggling. To be honest, exactly the same in the A10C and the Harrier and the Hornet I found. So you've just got to work it. You've just got to work it. I don't know exactly why it was awkward like that. I have lost my situational awareness, so I need to get my situational awareness Q, which is there. So I think they're ahead of me. Right, so that's just showing how that I could then go and laze him and drop a bomb on him, and it would hit the moving target. You can see that situational awareness Q is moving downwards, so that means he's going to be under me shortly. Right, got there in the end. Next, I'm going to just disengage everything, and what we're going to do is we're going to do some laser spot search. Can you set yourself up on either static or moving vehicles, please, RC? I'm
set up on a moving vehicle.
Roger. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to TV. I'm going to go back to area track. I'm now going to re-slew, re-boresight the TGP with TMS aft. I'm going to zoom out. So I'm setting everything back to standard, okay? And this is one way of doing our laser spot search. What laser PRF are you going to be doing, or laser code?
1688.
Right, so I can check I'm matching him at 1688 and check my bombs are at 1688. They are, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly away, then we're going to fly in. We're going to target, so we're going to put our direction roughly towards where we know those targets are, and then we're going to press uncage to start the laser spot search. If it finds his laser, which hopefully it will turn into a laser spot track, or it will just become a track, and it will follow whatever RC's laser is doing, and I can then drop my bomb on RC's laser, and then I can communicate when he needs to. No, sorry, you will be lasing at that point. So that's it, really. One thing to mention at this point is we're not sure if there is a burnout time on the laser, so there may be a time limit on this. So RC, you make sure you're not lasing until I'm ready and on the way in, please. Roger. The second way of doing this would be to put our target designator here, already in position roughly where we think the target is, and then doing the laser spot search. That's another possibly superior way, but I want to show that it can be done with the TGP bore sighted. So, salute to bore sight, stand by. Another thing people have been struggling with is they've been finding when, for instance, they're in gun strafe mode, that's a good example, their TGP stops working, and that is because when that happens, the TGP actually stops being a TGP and becomes a laser rangefinder. So it'll automatically bore sight itself to a CCIP point in space. That's something to bear in mind, that don't try and use the TGP as a typical TGP when you're in, for instance, gun strafe mode. It's no longer a TGP in that type of mode. I'm turning in now. I'm essentially just going to point my aircraft roughly towards the area where I think it is in terms of elevation. I'm going to point my flight path marker, again, roughly where I think the target is going to be. Everything is very rough to give it the best chance we can of this bore sight intercept method working. Ready for you, RC, when you are.
Okay, lasing.
Lasing. I'm now going to press uncage. Now watch the target designator move left and right. You see it moving right now, and it's going to move all the way around this kind of hemisphere, left and right, until hopefully it picks up RC's laser. Come on, baby. It's got us something. It's found something. It's found a tank, and it's moving. Whoop, whoop. Right, I've got to be quick now to get this all going. You're lasing. He's lasing, so I don't need to laze. All I need to do is drop. I've 22 seconds out on the steering line. I may aim slightly ahead of it because it is a moving vehicle, of course. 13 seconds. And push and hold weapon release. Aiming ahead for a bit of lead. And drop. Confirm you are lasing, RC.
Yep.
Right, good luck, baby. Master arm on. Where it is. Now, desync may happen, so it'll be interesting to see if it works. It's working. It's moving. This is a buddy lased moving target. This is as tough as it gets. Just going to hit RC. Beautiful. How about that?
Nice.
Well done, Wagner. Very good. Right. So that works. If I were to do it the reverse way around, I would just orbit. I would continuously laser target. I would let RC know the PRF, pulse repetition frequency code, and then he would tune into it just like I've done and drop the bomb that way. So, as a summary, it showed using the laser-guided bombs thoroughly. It showed it using the targeting pod to find targets, designate targets, and drop bombs on them. We've shown how to laser spot search to find a third-party laser and work that way. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do some bombing, and see you later.